Hey there, Ace Your Spacers. I'm Leanne Pruett, and welcome to the Ace Your Space interview series. I am so happy today to have Hayley Hoover with us. Good day, Hayley. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Leanne?
I am doing so well. I am so excited to have you here. Hayley is a creative confidence coach. Did I get that right? Yes, she's a creative confidence coach. She works with creative entrepreneurs to help them really bust through what's holding them back, find their purpose and really find their tribe that they're working with and really connect with them so that they can do what it is they're meant to do. And I was really excited to have Hayley on today because, we're talking about clutter, and I think clutter takes so many forms. Clutter, I think of clutter really as anything that stands in the way of you and your goals and your dreams, whatever you want to do. And Hayley helps people bust through things. So that's why I really wanted Hayley to come on and talk with us today about how she works with people. So Hayley, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started.
Oh, that's an interesting story. I have always been a very creative individual. I knew really early in life that I wanted to be a creative entrepreneur. I have blogged for about a decade, and so that has always been a real source of joy for me. But the actual monetizing the blog, I kept getting stuck on. I really wanted this to be my full-time living. I have a degree in public relations. I knew how to promote and market and all of that fun stuff, but I wasn't doing it. And so that's been a big frustration for many, many years for me. And it wasn't until last year I finally busted through my own blocks and decluttered my own mind, which we'll get to. And that's when I really found coaching as exactly what I wanted to do. And it's a viable means of making a living and supporting my dream. And the coolest part is it supports other people and their dreams. So yeah, that's kind of how I got to where I am, and years of studying creativity and confidence and working on myself, I'm now turning around to others.
I love that. I'm so happy to hear you say that. That's so great. I love it when people actually, get through whatever it is that's holding them back and do what they want to do. And you made a good point. You mentioning that you got coaching. I think a lot of times we think that we should know how to do something. We should know how to declutter ourselves, declutter our mind, declutter our space, declutter our diet, our finances, whatever. And so we don't get the help that we need, and it holds us back. So I think that's just kind of a really important point. I can't remember who I was talking to, but they made the comment. They said, I could detail my car. This might actually have been on one of the interviews. I can detail my car, but somebody else can detail it so much better. I could paint my house, but I hire somebody to help me paint it, and they do so much better. So, it's like sometimes we just really need to get somebody that can take an objective look and show us what we're doing and get us out of our own way. So that's really cool that you did.
Absolutely. Getting that outside perspective was super transformational for me.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So I'm going to get back to that a little bit more. But first of all, now the title of this interview series is Ace Your Space, Clear the Clutter to Supercharge Your Year and Your Business. And what does Ace Your Space, or what does the title of this interview series mean to you?
So I've given this some thought, and I really think that acing your space is optimizing your space that you've been given. And whether that's physical or mental or emotional, I think it's really important to maximize that space as best as possible to get the results that you want. So for me, that really, where the magic happens is when I decluttered my mental space and really focused on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to get there.
So now, all right, you mentioned that decluttering your mental space. Tell me a little bit about the clutter that you had to bust through to realize your vision.
I think there's lots of things that creatives struggle with. One of the most common ones that I had, and I know I'm helping others with, is kind of bouncing around. So I would call that lots of mental clutter, because, you know, a lot of creatives are multi-passionate people. I was very interested in writing. I was interested in painting. I was really into music. And so it was fun to try all these different things, but I really found a lot more momentum when I decluttered and began to focus on the one specific thing in my business that I wanted to move forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, it's kind of like shiny object syndrome.
Yes.
You know, it's like, oh, this looks good, and this looks good, and this looks good. But it's almost like, yes, simplifying and focusing on one thing, just really, you know, kind of becoming a master at the one thing is what can really, really make a difference, I think. And it seems like that's what you experienced as well.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And I would say that coupled with the clutter from the past mentally. So this is really the heart of what I teach is, you know, our subconscious brain is always making decisions for us. And it basically decides, excuse me, what it's going to think and what it's going to believe at a very young age in our lives. And so if we don't consciously start to reshape those beliefs, excuse me, and move around that mental clutter and let go of things that no longer serve us and ideas and beliefs that have held us back in the past, if we aren't, you know, regularly moving those things out, we're not going to move forward. And so I always say, you know, it's like, are you still thinking like a 5-year-old? Because 5-year-old you is not however old you are now. And so you really need to work on moving the mental space around to optimize it so that you can really have success-driven thoughts towards your dreams. So that was the other big piece that went with decluttering my mind.
Well, you know, it's kind of like our minds are set up to protect us. I guess, you know, like our subconscious mind back, you know, our lizard brain or something like that, if they saw something that they thought was a threat, and going for, you know, like doing something out of the ordinary, or really going for something like that your mind might think, oh, but this isn't safe. Yeah, you really do have to be mindful and really address that and find out what, you know, really find out what causes this and get through it, I think.
Yes. Yeah, and it was really interesting for me because I have read self-help books since I was a teenager. I've always studied mindset. I've always been a very confident person. So I never thought that was something I struggled with, was the mindset piece. And again, that is where it took me having a coach come in and take an outside look and really break down, okay, but you want to be this successful creative person, but deep down you believe that you can't sell art and make money. And so it was kind of transforming all these teeny tiny things that I didn't even realize I was holding on to.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. Well, that's it. I mean, that's like clutter, mental clutter is such a huge thing. And, you know, also a lot of times mental clutter, or whatever we see in our physical environment, that kind of mirrors what's internal, like external clutter mirrors internal, and vice versa. When you have the mental clutter, if you can get that cleared up, you can often find a way to clear up physical clutter and other clutter as well. Everything is so interconnected. We're not just this piece or this piece. It's a lot of different pieces. Wow. Does that make sense?
No, I really like that. I like that. Okay, it's thanks. Interesting too, because I'm doing all this with my business and focusing mentally. That's been huge for me over the last year. And also physically, right now, I'm getting ready to move into my own apartment. And so, actually this weekend. So that comes with decluttering physically, which is also emotionally. And it's like you're saying, it is all totally connected. And so I totally understand what you're saying. Right?
Yes, it is. But you know, it's such a good idea. I tell people all the time, it's like when you're about to make a move, declutter as much as you can before you go so that you start off really powerfully in that new place. So you're going to start off really powerfully in your new place, I think. So
I hope so.
That's going to be great. That's exciting. That's such an exciting thing. Well, now, let me ask you, I mentioned before that I see clutter is really anything that gets in the way of our goals and our dreams, that sort of thing. And I also think that clutter really takes up a lot of physical and mental bandwidth and is very distracting. And I think that once people can get a handle on their clutter, be it physical, be it mental, be it whatever kind, they often surprise themselves with what they are able to achieve. You know, things are available to them that they didn't even think would be available to them. What have you seen, either like in yourself or with the people that you worked with, things that were available to them or to you once that clutter was cleared up? That was maybe a surprise or maybe wasn't a surprise, but you know, was available that wasn't available before.
Yeah, a huge one. Actually, I was just talking with my boyfriend about this a couple days ago. Something that has really been transformational for me is realizing how much I've held myself back over the years based on who I'm surrounding myself with. And not that I, have scummy friends or anything, but I'm from a very small rural town.
Yes.
And I've gone away and come back, but never a lasting move, which has been a huge dream of mine for years.
Yes.
And then this entrepreneurship has been a huge dream of mine for years. But where I am at, I'm surrounded by, and this isn't to say it's bad, but people who are very laid back, complacent. My friends are just happy doing what they're doing for the rest of their lives. They're not very ambitious. And I've always felt like I was the odd one out with that. Like I always felt kind of like I needed to hide the fact that I don't watch TV. I go home and study, and I go home and read, and I'm very strict on my bedtimes, and it's always been like teasing and stuff. But once I have realized, like, that's clutter.
Yes. Yeah.
They're not bad people, but they're clutter. And once I have kind of let them release them and really let go of all the external influences in this present location, I've really just seen myself take off. Okay. Because I am once again becoming like tunnel vision focused on what I want to achieve and helping others and getting myself to that place mentally and emotionally so that I can physically get there too, which would be moving somewhere with a community of like-minded people. So.
Right. Well, they say that the ubiquitous they, but it's said that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you're up to something big and the people that you're spending your time with are not up to that same big thing, it's harder for you because you don't have the support in your social structure to bust through. So you're absolutely right. It can be. I can absolutely see where that it can be clutter and making that change makes a difference.
But also into like the physical space, it's that you're spending hours hanging out doing stuff you don't really care about. You're trying to keep these people happy and these people happy, and what it comes down to is you're holding yourself back. All of that is absolutely clutter. I love the word clutter. I'm going to start using that.
Yes. Because clutter is anything that gets in the way. It really is. So
yeah, absolutely.
So, well, that's really cool. So now, what major pitfalls? Like, I know, like with the entrepreneurs that you work with and with yourself, what major pitfalls do you think that entrepreneurs can encounter when they start going for their big vision?
I think that the biggest thing I see as I am working with clients, it's setting that foundation for success, which is the mind work and the discipline, and really believing in yourself and loving yourself enough to give yourself an honest try at the dream that you're wanting to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
I think I see so many entrepreneurs and business owners come to me, and they're semi-successful, and they have a great Instagram and their website's up and rocking, but then you talk to them and they're just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to do this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and I'm doing that. And, I just want to go, okay, let's breathe. Let's focus on your core mission for doing this. And, what is the inner motivation to share this with the world? And let's create a business from that space, not from, doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that. And let's really focus on the one thing that you want. So I think building that foundation of why you're doing it, I think that's the biggest way to avoid pitfalls for any entrepreneur.
Well, that's actually a good point. It's very interesting. I have a system for like decluttering that I teach people, and I say that often a mistake that people make is the first thing they want to do is like, all right, I'm going to go declutter. They go pull everything out and they start, trying to declutter, and they get overwhelmed and worn out, and all their stuff is out, and they just throw it back in, and it's worse than it was before. But that's what I say is like, before you start decluttering, take a step back, really think about your spaces. And I have some things that I have people do to actually determine, where to start decluttering, what you're going to do with the stuff, so that you set yourself up powerfully to do that. It's almost, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, all right, you've decided, all right, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, so now I'm going to go do some entrepreneuring or something. And that's not necessarily, it's like, it's not, doing is not the first thing. It's like actually setting yourself up powerfully for where you're going.
Yes, absolutely. That foundation set, yeah.
Exactly. So now, what key tips can you give us to help us supercharge our year in our business?
I love the thought of supercharging. That is just such a great word. I would definitely say my number one tip for my clients is to focus on one thing. Don't try to do everything. A lot of people start the year off with, this is the year I'm going to, start a course and host a podcast and do this and do that. And I just feel like you're spreading yourself too thin. And there's much more momentum and power when you come from a place of focusing on one thing you want to do really well. And with that, how do you want to feel, and who do you want to be moving forward? Not just what do you want to accomplish, because I think sometimes we get that backwards, and that we should go towards moving towards who we want to become and how we want to feel, and create from that space rather than the other way around.
Well, it's kind of like, I remember hearing something once like, we are human beings, we are not human doings. And so it's like, who you want to be versus kind of dictates what you do, and then dictates what you have. You don't go at it from the other, I want to have this, so I'm going to do this, and then the being gets lost. So that's interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's interesting. I keep bringing it back to when we declutter, but it's also interconnected. I tell people, if you've got a lot around you that's cluttered, you find the place to start, and then you put blinders on. You focus on that one place until you get that done, and then you work on the next place and the next place. And it's the same thing with what you're suggesting with business. You do that one thing and you get that down, and then once you have some more bandwidth, you do the next thing and the next thing. It's not, you're not working at cross purposes, and you're not spreading yourself thin and not getting stuff done.
Yep. It's so neat to hear how interconnected our two industries are, even though they're completely different.
Who would have known? I tell you.
I know. I love it. I love it.
It is very fun. It's very funny. So, other tips for us for that supercharging. Yeah.
I think really focus on your mission, and this is kind of similar to what I just said, but really focusing on why you're doing it and what your core message is, and doing everything based off of that. I think just again, I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself, but again, we get so lost in the hustle and the bustle. I mean, just so many clients come to me and they're just frazzled, and I don't want to see that. I want to see people really connected with their core.
Yes.
And sharing from overflow, not from craziness.
Exactly. Well, you know what? Oh, go on. I'm sorry.
I think the minimalism mindset really speaks to that. And this may be what you're about to say. I think, Marie Kondo says only choose something that gives you joy. And
yes.
So I think that's very similar. Only create from a space of joy. Don't just create frantically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's actually right. Yes, that's Marie Kondo does say, keep that stuff that sparks joy. I love Marie Kondo. I've been watching her Netflix show. It's so interesting, I tell you. And I also love that Marie Kondo has brought a new focus back to people wanting to declutter and stuff like that. And I love that. And I think that can only be good. In our consumerist society, we get so many messages to buy and consume. And that's just, it can be hard to fight that. So yeah, I like that. But actually what I was going to tell you was, it's like, I don't think it's I think repeating yourself is often a good thing, because it's like sometimes people need to hear things several times and then it's like, oh, I get it. So telling people that, to focus on the one thing and to come from your core, I think that's a great thing. So well, that's wonderful. So now, Hayley, I think you have a gift for the audience.
Yes, I do.
So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. This is my gift to y'all is my ebook. It's called Brazenly Beautiful. And yeah, I even struggle with calling it an ebook because it's very interactive. It's 88 pages. Mm-hmm. And so there is, some parts where you read, but a lot of it is really in-depth journaling and exercises to really get you connected to your core, so that you can find that passion to then work from for your business. So it's kind of what I call, like I was talking about, the foundation for just mm-hmm. laying that really centralized core message that you want to create from. So there's 8 modules, 8 chapters in it, and we walk through different ways of connecting with your soul and really getting plugged into that inner person. So
I love that. And audience, there's going to be a link right below this video to Hayley's gift. I think that's going to be so useful. It's going to help people really quieten that mental clutter and get some of that stuff a lot of that stuff out of the way, so that they can kind of go on and really get to their goals and their dreams, that kind of thing. So thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing it and working on it myself. That's going to be great.
Absolutely. So, and I would love any feedback from the audience on how.
Oh, cool. All right. Yes, absolutely. Feedback for Hayley. That'll be great as you're working on it. So now, before we finish up, do you have any final thoughts for the audience?
I'm just really excited for everyone. I think we've got a lot of great speakers on this program, and I think acing your space, starting your year off with this, it's just setting yourself up for success. You're headed in the right direction. I mean, I feel like you're already a champion just because you're here watching these interviews.
Absolutely.
And I know they're going to learn so much from you and the other interviewees. So I wish everyone good luck, and I hope they ace their space.
Thank you, Hayley. That's wonderful. And you know, Hayley, I have so enjoyed talking with you today. Thanks so much for being a part of the interview series. I know that the audience is going to enjoy this as much as I enjoyed talking with you. So again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it as well.
Good. And audience, thanks so much for being with us today. Keep tuned. We're going to have some more great Ace Your Space interviews tomorrow. So until then, have a great day. See you later. Bye-bye.